Hey there, little guy. How you doing? You've just been born, and your first introduction to the world was to drop out of the back end of your mother onto the hard floor. After lying there for about half an hour in a confused daze, it's time to get up. Well, you're going to be a bit unsteady on those feet for a couple of days, so baby steps, okay? Your mom will do everything she can to keep you safe, though. She stands about 5'8" at the shoulder, weighs over 3,500 pounds, and is built like an absolute tank. She's got two horns, and the front one is over 3 feet long. We'll talk more about horns later, but for now, your mom will use them to protect you. So, those guys over there? Looks tasty. Looks dangerous. You go first. No, you go first. You've got to be joking. You don't need to worry about them because they don't stand a chance. Once you're a bit steadier on your feet, you might start feeling a bit hungry. That's what mom's there for. So you just go ahead and grab yourself a drink. Okay, you've had your first meal, and it's now time to take stocks. You notice that everything looks a bit fuzzy, but that's normal because your eyesight is bad. It's not going to get better as you grow. Rhinos just have very poor eyesight. You can't hear very well either. So basically, you're half deaf and half blind from birth. On the plus side, you have a pretty good sense of smell, if that's any consolation. And it's not just your sight that might seem a bit fuzzy. Your head probably feels like it's filled with clouds too. And that's because you have a tiny brain. So, no one is counting on you to grow into one of those puzzle-solving, tool-using animals. You're basically going to spend your whole life wandering about with not much going on between your ears. When you're fully grown, you'll be the second biggest animal in Africa after elephants. And you'll also have massive horns. So you don't need to worry about anybody bullying you about your low IQ. But for now, you're small enough for animals like lions, hyenas, and African wild dogs to view you as an all-you-can-eat buffet on legs. So for the next 3 years or so, you'd better stay close to Mum so she can keep you safe. So, you've been following Mum around for 2 months, and everything's been fairly uneventful, apart from a couple of hairy moments. You're now starting to eat solid food along with Mum's milk. Grass, mostly dry, brown grass, or sometimes a bit greener when it rains. And that's all you'll continue to eat after you completely get off milk. Just grass. Not a very exciting diet, but that's what you're into. That and water. You'll drink once or twice a day when you can. And if you don't drink at least once every 3 or 4 days, you'll die. So for the rest of your life, you spend most of your time hoping drought doesn't come. And when it comes, you at least hope they aren't too bad. You're now about 1.5 years old. Great job, you made it this far. So you're obviously not doing too badly at this rhino thing. You're fully off your mom's milk now and have been for a while. But you still stay with her because you're small and cute, and she's big and ugly. So she'll make sure nobody eats you. Most of the time your mom likes to stay with a couple of other female rhinos, and there's also a couple of other young ones about your age in the group too. So you've always got some company. That helps keep you all safe too. But then last week, all of a sudden, you noticed this other big male started hanging around your group. He was giving your mom some special attention, and then one day, they started playing this funny game where he climbed up on her back for a bit. They played that game a couple more times, and he stuck around for a few days after that. But then he wandered off again. Strange behavior. Wonder what that was all about. Did you see what Mum and that big dude were doing the other day? I saw. What were they doing? Don't know. Mums do that sometimes. Why? Don't know. I don't think she liked it. Why? She was making some funny noises. He must have been heavy. That must be it. Probably. Must be it. You're now 3 years old. Congratulations. You're not quite a fully grown adult, but you're now big enough to look after yourself. Nobody can eat you anymore because, like your mom, you're now also a tank. You're way too big, strong, and tough. You've got a decent horn growing on your face too. But somehow you notice that life has just started getting a whole lot suckier. You notice when you start grazing on the grass next to Mum as usual, she grunts at you. That's unusual. She doesn't seem happy. But you just ignore her. Because let's be honest, your brain isn't big enough to process this. But no, something really seems to be up. She's grunting at you and stamping her feet. Mum? Now what's she doing? Is she okay? Mum? What's wrong? She doesn't want you here anymore. It's time to go. Mum! You'd better go. Time to make your own way in the world. But don't worry. You know everything you need to know about rhinoing. You'll be fine. You don't know this, but you remember that male who joined your group for a bit? Well, he got your mom pregnant. And now, about 500 days later, your mom is about to give birth. That means it's time to leave because she's going to have a new baby to look after. Yep, this could be the suckiest day of your whole life because your mom, who you've spent every day of your life with up until now, is driving you away. But on the bright side, you won't have many other days as bad as this one, so there's always that. It's a year after you left your mom. You found a buddy about your age, so you hang together for now. His name's Ron, and the two of you keep each other company. Although when you're fully grown, you'll be happier by yourself. Life as a male white rhino is lonely, but you prefer your own company anyway, so that's fine by you. At least as a southern white rhino, there are other rhinos in the area. Your smaller black rhino cousins who also live in Africa are much rarer, so they see each other even less. There are other species of rhino in the world too, although most are quite different from you. Indian rhinos are a bit smaller than you, but they look like they're covered in plate armor. There's only about 2,000 of those left in the wild, so it would really suck to be one of those. Sumatran rhinos are even rarer. There are only 275 or so left of them, so you wouldn't want to be one of them. And then there are Javan rhinos. There are only about 60 Javan rhinos left, so you definitely wouldn't want to be one of them. But you know what it would really suck to be? A northern white rhino. They're your closest cousins, and right now, there are only 2 left in the entire world. And they're both female. So unless scientists can get one pregnant using the jar of northern white rhino sperm they have stored up in the freezer, the northerners are going the way of the dodo pretty soon. So chin up. Even if your life sucks, someone else's life always sucks more. As you wander about grazing with your buddy, sometimes you see these strange, noisy animals that come up to you, sit there for a bit, and then leave again. You don't really understand them, but they don't come too close, so you don't pay much attention to them. Despite your appearance, you're a pretty chill dude. You don't want to pick fights, and you're happiest when you're minding your own business, eating grass, or wallowing in mud to keep cool. But then today, something happened you didn't like. You were just grazing normally with Ron, and then suddenly, you heard this big loud bang. All of a sudden, Ron fell on the floor and couldn't get up. Next thing you know, one of those strange animals was coming straight for you. You didn't know what to do, so you ran in the other direction. You never saw Ron again. Hope he's okay. Actually, he won't be. Poachers kill rhinos because their horns are used in traditional Chinese medicine. Rhino horn doesn't actually do anything because they're made of the same stuff as the human fingernails. So taking rhino horn medicine is about as useful as grinding up fingernails and mixing the powder into a glass of water to try to cure cancer. But the poachers don't care, and some people still believe in this magic. So there's a huge market for illegal rhino horn in China, and especially in Vietnam. Sometimes your horn can be literally worth more than its weight in gold. This is one of the main reasons why it really sucks to be a rhino. And this is also why all your species are at serious risk of extinction. But for now, you're 10 years old. You're a fully grown adult bull rhino. You've established your territory and you mark it with your dung and urine, and also by scraping the ground with your feet. Sometimes you have to defend your territory against other males by fighting, which sucks because it can get dangerous, but it doesn't happen much. And now some females have wandered into your patch. One of them relieves herself on the floor, and once she's moved off to a safe distance, you go in and give it a lick. No, not because you're into the kinky stuff, it's because that's how you know if she's ready to mate. Turns out, she is. So now you need to go all smooth and seduce her. For white rhinos, this basically means following her about and not letting her run off. And then eventually, she'll let you have your way with her. She curls up her tail and braces her for what's about to come next, which is you climbing up on top of the back end of her. And that must suck because you now weigh about 5,000 pounds. And you're going to be up there for about half an hour, while her current calf stands there, watching. Once you're done, you stick around for about a week. Maybe because you want to make sure nobody else feels like having a go. Or maybe just because you feel like you two should get to know each other a bit better. But eventually you decide to move on, and you leave her carrying your child. Your baby will be born in another 500 days' time, and you'll continue to wander the landscape, eating grass, and making new baby rhinos whenever you can until you're about 40 or even 50. Eventually, you'll get old. And you might fall prey to lions when you're too weak to defend yourself. Or you might get shot by poachers. You might even die of old age, and that will be a miracle. Yeah, your life wasn't much fun, but it could have been worse. So just keep reminding yourself of that as you chew another mouthful of dry grass.